Hello everyone. Am I audible? Okay. I'm Padma Priya from HCL Technologies, and with me here is Uttara Chandrasekharan, and together we are going to present this paper on documentation development methodology, and our focus would be on user task analysis. Basically what we are going to discuss here is the challenges that we faced as writers and what we have done to overcome those. Okay. We are aware that this is the last session of this evening, and we are running behind schedule. We'll keep that in mind. Can someone tell us how you measure your documents' quality? Is there a measure or a yardstick by which you can measure your documents' quality? Yes?
For the straightforward PDF documents and things that objective, like maybe known adherence to style and spelling mistakes and things like that, we run a macro, and we collect instances of these occurrences, we classify them, and we have some metrics on that.
Okay.
That's one of the quality measures.
Anyone else?
Okay, yes, as you have said, all that matters, plus how usable our documents are to the customers. That is very important. And most of the things that you're going to see here today are things that have been touched upon by other presenters in the past couple of days. And this being the last session, we'll summarize everything and reiterate most of those points. And that's the agenda. And most of us would have faced such a situation. So this is a challenge that we faced as well. We had a huge doc set, a lot of information, a lot of depth to it, but still we kept getting comments from the field saying the docs are not really useful. Users don't find information that they are looking for. We have moved away from traditional ways of documenting. We started authoring with XML. We moved to topic-based and task-based documentation, but still we were getting such comments in. And we met with TAC, the technical assistance folks, marketing people, and sat with them and analyzed what went wrong. And this is something that we have to keep in mind. Users are not interested in reading what we have written there. They want to complete their tasks and leave on time. And they turn to documentation only when they get stuck. So they want information that is relevant to them. Most of the times, the tasks that we envisioned our users would be doing were very different from their actual goals. So we had to do a lot of analysis and finally arrive at different ways to go about authoring content.
So having all these challenges, now what we thought, like there should be some task-based approach. Like the documentation, what we are doing so far, we need to change it. So there should be some task-based approach. So let's see how this task-based approach evolved. So for that, can someone tell me what are the differences between a traditional software and a new age software? Basic differences.
Probably first of all is perpetual licensing, and then you have subscription based licensing. You can upgrade user, add or create user subscription as and when you want it. You don't need to install anything. You can access a SaaS based software using internet anywhere on the globe. Security, data security is important. You don't have to review, you can do multiple collaborative review at the same point of time. You don't really have to worry about that. And yeah, I think there are a couple of factors, and it's like traditional now. So most probably it is the in technical documentation, it comes to subscription-based licensing and this data security. And you can access your documents anywhere. And at the same point of time, you can be working, you can be traveling, and get your review comments also. There's a couple of this.
Precisely. Thanks, Rajiv. So he has covered pretty much what we had to say. So just to summarize, Like if you see traditional software, uh, these are tools, specific tools or applications developed to suit a specific group of users. So these tools never interacted with each other. There were not data transfers that happened. So menu-based approach, menu-based documentation really address the needs of such users. Whereas if you see new age software, you have multiple applications bundled as one and offered as a service to the customers. So these applications are integrated, they communicate with each other, and the data is transferred amongst these applications. And if you see the users will also have to work across these applications. So here is the need of task-based approach. We have to have a workflow-based documentation. So that's the need of the hour. So having discussed about this task-based documentation or the workflow-based documentation, so now we have to analyze what are our users' tasks. So the user task analysis comes into picture now. So what is a user task analysis, or what does it involve? It involves basically we have to understand what the user's role is and also identify the tasks that they have to perform to achieve their goals. So after, the phases that are involved in user task analysis, first is you have to identify who your users are, and then analyze their tasks, and then map these tasks with the workflows, and then author the content based on the identified workflows. So coming to the first phase, identifying our users. So basically, users can be classified based on two major parameters, I would say. So one is the role that they perform in their organization and the competency level of a particular user. So we can call them as user personas. So the user persona determines the role that a user performs, and then the competency level of the user. Based on that, we have different types of users. Basically, first is the beginner, then the intermediate, and then the expert. So the beginner can be new to the organization or new to a particular product. So he or she will not really understand why a particular task is being done. A bit of conceptual or a background information is required for such users, and then even step-by-step instruction how to perform this particular task. If you see the intermediate users, they know why they have to do a particular task, but still they are stuck in how they are going to perform those tasks. So we need to give the step-by-step instructions. And if you see the experts they might be an expert in the product. So it's just that they need only a high-level overview, high-level instructions of how a particular task needs to be performed.
Okay, we've seen how to identify our users and how to understand their competency levels. The next phase would be to analyze the user's tasks. This is a little difficult given the way we normally function. We read up SFS, we read up PRDs and other engineering materials, some user stories. Now those have moved into Agile and Rally. But they still don't give us an opportunity to understand our customers and the tasks that they do. So what we can do is nowadays we have these user experience teams. We have been hearing about user assistants and user experience. So these UI design meetings happen in which people from marketing, user experience folks and SMEs, they sit and come up with UI wireframes. We can participate in those meetings, have our questions answered, and also meet with marketing and field people. These people must be our main SMEs. They can give us the right kind of information that we are looking for about our users. And the last one, I don't know how far it is possible, but if at all possible, making site visits and seeing your users perform their job would really help. And after doing that, you can create a user task matrix. What this does is it helps us analyze which users do which tasks. Here is an example. This is from an enterprise IT department. There they have these various tasks performed by these three administrators, these are the personas that we are going to look at today. There's a Windows administrator, a network administrator, and a SAP basis administrator. And your product has functionalities that will be used by all these three people. The Windows administrator's job would be to manage employee information and to manage software configuration updates. And network administrator would take care of devices in your data center. And basis administrator would be responsible for the reporting application and users who access the reporting application. After you have identified and created a user task matrix, you will have to identify these tasks that we saw here about managing employee information, and these tasks are high-level tasks. They involve many subtasks. So you have to identify those subtasks and arrange them in a sequential order to come up with your workflow. So for example, while managing employee information, a Windows administrator would have to perform all these operations. They may have to create an employee group or configure authentication and authorization policies so that the users are given the right kind of access to the network. And then they may have to manage the password policies and lock and unlock employee accounts if needed. So these are some of the tasks that a system administrator would perform. And again, they would be responsible for production support. And also they will have to manage endpoints that connect to their network. For instance, we have all these smart devices available now. And when employees bring these personal devices to the company and want to connect to the corporate network, it becomes a responsibility of the system administrator to ensure that these devices are safe and are not a threat to your organization. And this is how my application looks. If I were to write a menu-driven documentation for it, I would have sections like these. I would have a section for managing employees, for managing policies, and managing endpoints. But this is not the order or sequence in which the administrator would have to perform their tasks. So if I move to a workflow-based documentation, the first example there is to add a new employee who joins the organization. The administrator would have to create an employee group, assign appropriate policies, and map the new employee to that particular group. And the second example here would be to allow employees to use their personal devices in the company's network. Here again, the administrator would have to configure the user group and assign policies and everything, after which he is responsible for creating an endpoint identity group and adding the endpoint to their database, and then configure policies to ensure that the device is safe and can be allowed on the network. So this is the sequence of information, the sequence of instruction that an administrator is looking for. And this is where we need to concentrate on and create workflow-based documentation that would really help them.
So now that we have identified the different workflows, now is the time for us to create content. That is, whatever information that we have so far, how are we going to present it? So when we are going to present, then we have to keep in mind the different types of users we have. So I just want to go back to the earlier slide when where we discussed about the different types of users, the beginner, the intermediate, and the expert. So the way we are going to present the information should vary and should cater to the needs of these three types of users. So here is an example, like here you have the workflow in place and all these steps are subtasks. So we have the high level instructions in place. This will suit the expert. So the expert will really need a high level instructions of how to perform a particular workflow. And we have also linked all these subtasks to a particular procedure. So in case if there is an intermediate user, he or she can just go click in the particular step where they are stuck and then go to that particular procedure and see what are all the step-by-step instructions that they want to follow. And to adhere to the needs of a beginner, you can have related topics where you can link all the conceptual information, the step-by-step instructions, everything can be linked as a related topic. So the beginner can also go through those topics and understand why they are going to do a particular task.
and you can also use some graphics to simplify a procedure. This is not very clear here, but let me tell you that this graphic condenses the content that we have in a 40-page upgrade manual. An expert user might just need to know the prerequisites and the time estimates to plan for upgrade and to plan and prepare. And the upgrade steps are very similar to what he had been doing all along. So this is all they would need to get started with the upgrade. So here's an example of infographic, and we would like to conclude it with this nice graphic that depicts various Android versions. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks all.
Thank you.
That's what, we just had to pull, pick and plug it. Oh, okay, they just had to pick it up.
They have to choose, whatever. So as he said in that example, they have this hiring instruction.
Right.
So the expert user can just go there, at one shot he gets everything.
They just have to,
Wherever he's getting stuck,
he has to pick up.
wherever he's getting stuck, he can just go there and see the steps and he can go.
Thank you very much, Padma and Uttara. And as a token of appreciation from STC, I'd like to give you this certificate and memento. Thank you, Uttara. Okay, last minute recognitions that we have, and this is the last because we're not meeting after this. So please don't cry, we'll meet next year. So, okay, so I would like to call upon Manisha and Rajdeep to give away some awards. Okay. So, starting with Raghuram. I know you're tired. Next we have Sandhya. Sandhya has been hosting the other Vijayanagar room. Then we have our treasurer where all the money comes from, Naveen. Clap. Next time you won't get food. Okay, all right. Everybody's clapping. Okay, next we have Vimal. And next I'm going to give it to Manisha. So clap. So a huge round of applause for Manisha because, you know, she is now the ex-president. Thank you. Okay, and last but not the least, it is for me. Thank you. Yes, I won't be taking your awards. You should be happy about it. And the man of the hour of 2 days, Rajdeep Gupta. He didn't sleep for 2 days and many more days. Ask him, does he remember anything that happened yesterday? Thank you all. Thank you very much. And it has been a great session. I mean, this was my first STC, by the way. Many people didn't know about it. It was my very first external STC conference. I've just been attending conferences in Pune. So I think it was a great job done. I was not lost anywhere. And it was very well organized. The food was amazing. I'm a vegetarian. I don't drink, so I have a lot of restrictions, but I really enjoyed it. So even after those things, the vegetarian food was also very tasty. So I didn't miss on anything. So thank you once again. I hope you all also enjoyed. And Rajdeep will just give a small address. Thank you.
I wouldn't take more than 5 minutes of yours, or more than 2 minutes. This has to be done. So, but I want to thank first of all to all of you. 2 days of conference, we started on Thursday with a pre-conference with multiple tracks happening at in multiple locations. And then to have 45 to 48 sessions with pre-conference and all that same. This would not have been possible. I keep on repeating, this would not have been possible without the active assistance of our STC India volunteers. There are volunteers who are not STC India members also, and it doesn't matter, you know, to be honest. If you're an STC or non-STC India member, come and volunteer. So I'd like to thank you, every one of you from far India. People have traveled from Pune, people have traveled from Chennai, Hyderabad. Mini volunteered to be the MC for the event. I had a quick chat with her, and I asked her, do you think you can pull it off? And she said, yeah. She sounded a bit tense, but the way and the kind of enthusiasm and the spark she showed for the last 2 days and the feedback, it's great. So well done, Mini. The tweets have actually been very active. We started with this STC India hashtag 2014. So as and when we have any post, volunteers have actually posted. In fact, when Mac was taking a session on business management lessons I learned from gardening, we posted a tweet, and the moment we posted a tweet, there was a retweet from some, Lal Bagh gardening and all that sort of a thing. So they expected that kind of a thing. I want to thank, we had close to 100 plus paper proposal, and Kiranmai did a fantastic job in selecting all the paper proposal, and I think you will agree to that. The papers were really, really good, and the content was good. Come on, was it or not? Okay, so what we will do is that we'll collate all the feedback. We have a feedback rating system. I encourage each one of you to go to the website and vote or rank the papers. It will help the speakers to assess, understand the importance, or rather understand. There were a lot of feedback which were coming off list. I would rather, be happy if you can just go ahead and post it on this on the network. We'll collate all the reports and generate a report and announce the best speaker probably in the next week. I thank once again each one of you, and special thanks. Yes. Okay. Yes. So I'm still in the admin council, and we had a couple of interested parties, and there have been some discussion happening that this has to happen in Pune. Yes. Yeah. So I think most looks like to be a Pune event, but we'll have a poll where we have at least 3 cities. So I don't know which are these 3 cities, but looks like Pune will be one of the options. So you got to be on the STC India mailing list. You got to be voting for your, sort of a thing. Manisha suggested Agra. And I was a little distinct, so all that sort of a thing. But that's okay. But we will try our level best to have, the important thing is that you guys need to be there next year also, all right? And some of you need to present, okay? And I could not attend any, I just attended Amit's session. It was, as usual, brilliant. So well done, Amit. And I just hope that we'll try, we have video recorded sessions. Council will decide on as and when how we share this, with you all, or with the STC India members. The presentations have been shared on a pen drive with you, right? Now what will happen is that there will be a couple of changes, couple of slides and everything sort of a thing. If you have visited stc-india.org, you will see there is a menu called conference or sponsorship. So what we will do is that we will upload all the presentations for you. You can go there and download, irrespective of the fact, again, you're an STC India member or not, okay? So don't worry, I'm very prompt in responding to emails, all right? So I'll ensure that even if it's 1 o'clock in the night, I will upload it before December 8th or 9th. So take it my word, it will be done.